All right, everyone, this is a series of 3 videos, which I'll do separately, all about solving simultaneous equations, which of course means simultaneous, means at the same time. So you're going to see questions that have, in this case, 2 variables, A and B, and we need to know what A and B both equal to solve both equations. So otherwise, they just have an infinite number of answers that work for one equation. But breaking it up into 3 bits, which coincide with 3 bits from our textbook, which is kind of nice to keep it organised. We're going to look at linear equations with 2 unknowns. Then we're going to look at non-linear equations with 2 unknowns. They're a bit more complicated because I'll show you with a graph what this actually looks like. And then finishing with 3 unknowns. So the schedule, if I remember rightly, I'll just put this computer down here. I think I've worked it out so that Thursday you do it's 2 unknowns, the linear ones with 2 unknowns, which basically is 210. Then at Friday morning, because we're missing out on Friday morning, you can do this at another time, but you can come in Friday morning and do it if you can get in. But that's what we're going to do, non-linear simultaneous equations. And then 3 unknowns in the Friday lesson period 5, last period Friday. So you need to make sure you can do all those successfully by Monday. So that's important. Okay, let's get into this. The first video, which is linear equations with 2 unknowns. Now, you are quite familiar with this, I know, because you've done this before plenty of times, and I'm sure you realise that there are 2 methods for this. The elimination method and the substitution method. 2 methods. Now, should you use one or the other? It's a big question. I do remember that I used, when I was like in year 10 or something, substitution method all the way through because I must have missed out on the elimination method. I was away that day or something. I don't really think that's the case anymore. I think you're much better off using both of them depending on which one's more suitable. So let's get stuck into it. So the first one, these are the same as the textbook ones, solve with simultaneously. Firstly, I would call them 1 and 2. I know you might want to get lazy and not do that, but it makes it easy to tell the person who's looking at your work what you're doing. And let's have a look. 3A, 2B, 2A minus B. They're not exactly the same, any of them, the A's or the B's, but I'm still going to go with the elimination method. If you want to use the substitution method, you'd have to make B the subject of this by adding the B over there. So you'd have 2A equals minus 6 plus B. And then take away the 6, so B ends up equaling 2A plus 6, and substitute that in there. And if you've got time, do it that way. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it either using the elimination method. So you've got to try and get the A's or the B's to be the same. Now, the B's are closer because you've got plus 2B and you've got minus B. So I'm going to double this one. I'm going to go equation 2 times 2. And that's going to give me 4A minus 2B equals minus 12. That's doubling this one. And I'm going to call that equation 3. So now I'm looking at these 2 because I'm trying to combine the 2 equations, and this one is just this one. So what do? To use the elimination method, it's plus 2B minus 2B. If I add them together, they will disappear. The B's will disappear. So I'll get 7A equals, and you've got to add these together. So minus 12 ends up being plus 5. Gets closer to 0. That's 7. Minus 7, and then divide by 7, and you get a nice answer, A equals minus 1. Now, what do you do with the A equals minus 1? You sub it into any of the other equations. I think I'll sub it into 1. So sub A equals minus 1 into equation 1. So that gives me 3 times minus 1 plus 2B equals 5. Minus 3 plus 2B equals 5. 2B equals 8. B equals 4. Looks nice. Got an A and a B. Just check it quickly. Going back up here, 3 times minus 1, that's minus 3, plus 8 is 5. Good. Check this one. It's only the 2 original ones you check. Minus 2, because that's 2 times minus 1. Minus 4 is minus 6, so we know we're right. So that's the solution. A equals minus 1. B equals 4. So here's another one. This one is a bit of a 50-50, but to be honest, It's really, actually, the more I look at it, it's really easy to do with either method. But just to mix it up, I am going to use the elimination method, sorry, the substitution method this time. And during this exercise down here, you will have the choice to do whatever one you want. So I'm going to use the substitution. So that means make x or y the subject of one of these equations. So I'm going to make x the subject of the first one, because x is already on its own here, so I'm just going to move the 2y over the other side. Make x the subject of equation 1. So that goes over there, and you get x equals 2y plus 5. And that is equation 3. I'm going to call it, it's really just equation 1. So I'm going to sub that into equation 2. Sub equation 3 into equation 2. So this is what x is. So that goes right there. So you get 2y plus 5 plus y equals 0. And I probably would have just expanded that in one go normally. Oops, 4y plus 10 plus y equals 0. And then you've got 4y plus y, so that's 5y. Put the 10 on the other side, minus 10. So y equals minus 2. Once you've got one answer, sub it into the other one. Sub it into one of the equations. And it's always, this is the only advantage. This is one of the big advantages of the substitution method. You can sub it into equation 3 and you'll get the answer for x straight away. So sub y equals minus 2 into equation 3. So x equals 2 times y, so 2 times minus 2 plus 5. So that's minus 4 plus 5, that's 1. So let's check this again, back to the very first equation at the top. X equals 1, so that's 1 minus 2 times minus 4 is, sorry, 2 times minus 2 is 4. So 1 plus 4 equals 5, that works. And this one, x equals 1 in there, you get 2 minus 2 is 0, it works. So they work. So I'd like you to work on the odd ones from exercise 210 and then move on to the next video. They are separate videos, but we'll work on the next video. Thanks.